components need to turn on here are the PC and the plasma screen. Your plasma has all of the inputs you're going to feed devices through. I would say for the most part you're going to do data, just as you would in a tech room. 99% of the time somebody's going to have a PowerPoint. Our PC is stored over here in the credenza, very much the same models as you'll find in our tech rooms. It also has an AB switch to allow you to configure between a laptop hookup and a desktop hookup. The difference in terms of the hardware for that are in the keyboard and the mouse here, which are wireless now, not hardwired in. The wireless keyboard and the mouse are direct current, so they're running on a couple of AA's each. It's very important, just the same, that we shut off the mouse when we're done with it. And there's a very small switch on the lower side of the mouse for that. It's on now. The keyboard can be shut off, but we don't worry so much about the current in that, and we're leaving it on. I'm told that this mouse should last for a year with minimal usage. Of course, the wireless system needs a small receiver to work, so we've got a receiver for it inside of the USB at the back port of this computer. You see a flash, it's like a flash drive. You see a flash drive at the front of this PC. That's for the Kensington slide switcher. Okay, this is a 50-inch, give or take, 53-inch I believe, plasma panel. The inputs that you set are on the panel using the remote input button on the remote control, or on the side of the unit over here. I would suggest you use the remote control. It would be a lot easier. Okay. We bring up our inputs. They're very much what this line offers. You'll find this in many of our plasmas, since we deal with the Panasonic Vera plasma models. They don't change very much. So your input button on the remote is located in the upper left corner above the arrow key and the menu buttons, and that opens you to this panel of choices. As I said before, about 99% of the work we'll probably do is simply feeding someone's PowerPoint to the screen. So we set the input accordingly. I'll bring it up again and get a sense of it. And you can move it up and down using the arrow key to select whatever input you wish. TV is also another option that people may want to work with. If we have something that's being fed over BluesNet, they can watch it from within this classroom. We have the usual assortment of Comcast channels. We've eliminated anything we don't think is terribly necessary. A number of the networks offer standard digital and high def. The quality varies all over the map depending on what the bandwidth is that they're feeding it. If they have a lot of information that they want to feed over a network, then they may disperse the quality between several channels, and so you'll see what amounts to a rather conventional or mediocre looking resolution or quality of image. On the other hand, some channels seem to be going full blast and look absolutely sensational. It can vary randomly. There's no point in really making a lot of intense detailed picture adjustments to the screen just for one channel, when you might move on to another one and have to do it all over again. It's far too laborious. So you can see on this screen, for instance, that we have dated material here, probably from the 80s or 90s, which is not high def, and you can see the limitations of it. If you're watching a news program, it's very common when they go to a remote feed or someone in the street to see lesser quality on that footage versus the high definition quality of the studio. So, in review, the input button is in the upper left corner. It brings up this panel of a variety of input buttons. We might live on PC for the most part, but you have the TV option.
Now, can you change the other ones? Regular Mark has them locked.
They're currently locked out. I'll be opening up video 1 because we have an auxiliary harness over in the credenza that will allow us to plug in your camera, Dan, or a VCR or any other analog video source, and then bring it up on video input 1.
Yeah, component 2.
There are 3 HDMI imports on this. Presently, none of them are in use. They're available. There are 2 in the back and 1 on the side. Component sort of speaks for itself. One more point regarding TV. We have one of our standard analog or manual A/B switches on the back panel to the left that will allow you to switch between BluesNet.
Oh,
And
okay.
I'll bring up one of our BluesNet channels
so
here,
they
7.
So they could watch Faculty Day then?
That's correct.
Good.
Right. That will probably come up from
Oh,
time
yeah.
to time in an
I'm
administrative
sure it
conference
will,
room.
Yeah.
So BluesNet switches between Comcast on the very simple switcher back here in the lower left to the rear of the panel. Okay, we brought in a laptop and we're going to set that up now. Bill's got it plugged into the auxiliary harness, which is located within the credenza. I have a coil and a hook on the side of the wall on the inside of the credenza. We have the VGA and of course the audio inputs as we would in any tech situation, tech room situation. What we would want to do in this case is make sure that the A/B switch in the box is switched to the B switch. We've done this sort of in reverse order. We'll see if it works. Normally we would have that switched on and then we would boot the laptop. Let's see if we get lucky with it. Sometimes it does work this way. If not, we'll just reboot the laptop and bring it up. But review, we go to the plasma screen, we bring up our inputs and we want to be on PC. And it worked. We are feeding the laptop image. Just a reminder, this was not the usual way that we configure it. We usually leave the laptop off and then boot it after the fact. Here we booted it first, plugged it in, and then switched everything, but it worked. Your image will come up usually in a 4:3 ratio, and then we set it accordingly. Again, on the remote control in the center of the remote you have a format button which allows you a variety of aspect ratios. 4:3 is normally what some of these laptops come up in. By pressing format again, I'm able to put it into the full mode. I'm referring to the ID markers here that describe what we have in the way of formats available to us. When we're feeding this laptop, we only have 4:3 or full stretch style mode. When you're on TV, and I'm going to return, I'm backing up again here to make a point about TV again. When you're dealing with TV, you might deal with numerous aspect ratios. If we press the format button, we can get it in 4:3. Zoom function alters it by bringing you in a little closer to the subject matter. Full is what we were just describing with the PC or the laptop. Kind of stretches it to the horizontal sides so you don't have any pillar boxing. Justify is what we settle on. It seems to be the most organic way of formatting your screen. It doesn't overstretch or alter the image, and
That's what it's set in. Yeah, that's the one Marcus mentioned in the email.
Justify is what we work with here in
Okay.
terms of broadcast.
That's smaller. And then-
4:3, your
Yeah.
standard television
Yeah.
aspect ratio, which we don't have to worry about with
And then the
a
other
16:9
one-
widescreen.
Now, they look closer together in full,
Yes,
right?
if you were to compare full, which is what we're looking
Yeah.
at now, to Justify,
Okay.
you would see that the full setting expands or alters the image a little. It debases the image a bit, you know, it makes people look more squat. And Justify reduces that to some degree. It's all an alteration. If you look at this sphere for the ID, the station ID, you'll see that it's not a perfect sphere, it's more convex or oval, which is a giveaway that we're not looking at an accurate representation of a true image that should be, and certainly in that pattern, should be perfectly circular. You can see that it looks more realistic in 4:3. Again,
Yeah.
your circumference around
Yeah.
this globe of Earth is much more realistic as a circle rather than when it's full. It's entirely an aesthetic decision on your part or anybody's part. Part of the Vera menu of options here, we went through the SD card viewer, for instance, include the Vera link. I'm going to go back to VeraCast. This is important. This is of our application selection, something that we'll be getting shortly. and that is a web conferencing camera, which will encompass the use of Skype. It's on back order at the moment. In another month or so we'll have it. We will hook it up, and that will be an application you can explore as well for video conferencing. Looks like a very nice camera. In the diagrams, it uses 4 unidirectional microphones and the lens. It appears to be mounted on the plasma screen, although there's probably some flexibility for that. The application for this could be almost endless in terms of who might use it and whom they want to speak with. The web conferencing. Once we have that installed, we'll have a better grasp of what its advantages and limitations are. So for now, just a heads up for what's coming down the pike.
Okay.
And, that should encompass pretty much all that we need to deal with.